back, everybody. We are here for the highlights of SANDBOX Gaming up against Winners. It was pretty much a rout from the beginning of the game. Although the Thresh got a million kills, actually the only kills for the side of Winners, SANDBOX pretty cleanly were able to close this one out for a quick victory.
Again, it's a historic moment. 100% kills Thresh, 100% kills for the support. Not kill participation, kills. But if I tell you that the support got 100% kills, is it possible for that team to have won the game? The answer is probably no. It's probably an impossibility, and certainly it was effectively an impossibility as this game was run by SANDBOX Gaming for, honestly, almost the entire way. I think their pick ban was superior. Really felt like they understood the 2019 meta. A little bit earlier, as we can see, no value out of the first pick, Nico for Marit. So I think Winners back to the drawing board, maybe even a new drawing board. Just get a makeover in the drawing room and do some new stuff there. But the coolest moment of the game was to Winners. Look at the ride. Empire went on.
Yeah, you know, Empire, I'm sure he had a fun game, right? He felt like he was doing stuff. The hooks were good. It was just the rest of his team couldn't really do much. We see the uselessness of a Nico that's behind, or even if that Nico was fed as all hell, that wouldn't have done much because the Pop Blossom, pretty easy to
the damage numbers.
Dodge. Yeah, well, yeah, we're going to have to shelve the Nico for now, I think. It's either counter-pick territory or you just play it in the bot lane or something else, because it doesn't do well when you first pick it, and then you play against LeBlanc, who basically just owns the lane from minute one.
The strategy of just taking that strong bot lane and then trying to ban out anything for Hollow and Joker to play. On paper, if you think back to what we know of Battle Comics, you might say, okay, yeah, that could work. The bot lane's probably the weak point. Let's take advantage of it. But unfortunately, even when you ban new and old school stuff, Varus and Braum pops up, and that was always one of those very strong laning duos. It negates a lot of what the Thresh wants to do. Tom Kench was still there to try to eat the hooked target as well. So there just wasn't really many options left open. So a new approach required, and vindication for what we saw from SANDBOX Gaming in game number one. Sounds like there's no changes we heard from our producer in our heads, so I think we're ready to get into game two pretty soon.
Yeah, should be ready to jump into pick and ban, and that's really where I think Winners need to prove themselves now. Not even in the game, they need to go into pick and ban and show us that, hey, they went back, they threw out their old drawing board with all those old notes from years past about stuff that does not really work on this new patch, and they show us something new. A new draft on the red side would be very welcome for us to get some hopes up here for Winners. Good showing for SANDBOX, you know, former Battle Comics, of course. We're going to be saying that a lot today, as that did just happen today, the renaming. But good stuff coming into potentially the round of 8, if they can close this out going into game number 2, which we will do the pick and ban for right now.
Zooming along on day 2 of the KeSPA. We're still in the first round, so basically how the tournament works is we have this bigger bracket in the first round before we get some of those seeded LCK teams. Then we have a round of 8 in the first round. I know it is very complicated, but basically we continue to play out with the pool of teams we have. Then we move into the secondary round of 8 as we go along. But all you guys need to know is League of Legends every day of the week when it comes to the work week here. This week, so 4 days this week, into 6 days next week straight from Monday through Saturday. Ooh. And then the final on New Year's Eve, the 31st of December. So Christmas League of Legends, less than a week away. Zooming in on this game, SANDBOX Gaming, they're definitely putting one ban out there to get a bit of reprieve. Draven can kind of win any lane, and they are not allowing Gap to get any games on his famous Draven.
Yeah, might as well, especially because Winners have already shown that they're trying to play around the bot lane, so why give it to one of their stronger players if you don't have to? You're going to see that LeBlanc this time banned out by Winners, as they say, well, we might be thinking about playing Nico again. I have some news for you guys. You got to be careful who you're going up against, especially we're going to see our first Cassiopeia here in the KeSPA Cup. They leave that up. They banned the Morgana. Not sure about that pick.
There's Joker's Morgana, which I understand deserves some respect, but there's just the power pick that is Cassiopeia. It's been banned 100% of times in the first round. Was nerfed on patch 824B, but I don't think 30 base damage is going to get you away from Arcane Comet every 1 second in the late game. Maybe there'll be no late game. Maybe Winners will show us some real proactivity, but flex pick Cassiopeia seen in multiple lanes has been locked in by SANDBOX, and every time they show that Nico, you wonder if it will be drafted for Winners.
There it is. Nico comes in, and I hear groans from the Korean desk as they don't seem too happy about that one, because Not only is Cassiopeia strong, she can be flexed. We could see something put into the mid lane up against the Nico if they really want to. Lots of stuff still left available.
Let's see how SANDBOX approaches. Irelia, Akali are both available. Dove can play the Irelia. And what are you taking into Aatrox wherever he goes? You could consider taking the Irelia for a bit of a skill matchup between the two. For now, just the Thresh. See how SANDBOX wants to round this one out. Will they just draft a bot laner, or will they continue the Cassiopeia three-way flex that exists right now? Top lane, mid lane, and bot lane carry. It's considered one of the best possible bot lane carries in the league, including things like Lucian. Still, there is this Cassiopeia, and the flexibility will continue. Dove locks in the Akali, so flex pick solo lanes is the way. We're seeing a Fiora hovering here. Again, Fiora specifically versus mid lane Irelia is a very possible matchup, so I like this as a mind game saying, you think about Fiora when we consider a future Irelia pick. Also going to be locked in for Empire, so we're moving away here. Empire's going to say, all right, I need someone else on my team to pick up a kill, just to get things off to a good start. After 100% kills, you don't want that.
Yeah, well... At least you can facilitate a lot of different kills. They were thinking about the Urgot. Decide against that, take the Alistar. They'll ban the Urgot. They don't want to give that away or even first pick it.
Here's what I'll say. Here's how you go from the Dan's game to the PogChat when you're winners, when you're looking at this draft. Nico bot lane, actually, here against Cassio with the ability to push her in, could actually be really strong. So I actually, if we see Gap jump onto the Nico, would actually be a pretty big fan of just actually flexing that one to the bot side, given the potential of the Cassiopeia matchup, and they'll have all that information before they have to have their 5 champions locked in with final pick on the red side. Just leave that out there. We're going to leave a lot of kind of kernels of ideas in the KeSPA Cup because the meta is so unexplored based on our research, and then just see what actually pans out. What has panned out in terms of bans is a lot more of these flexible laners taken out. I want to know where SANDBOX are going and be informed as possible as things go on. Elise ban sent out towards Insec. We're definitely hoping and praying for Lee Sin at some point, and Lee Sin Yasuo is a possible draft duo. We're going to see the Kha'Zix instead. Another famous Insect pick. He was the first in the world to the R-Evolve Kha'Zix back when it gave you that extra tankiness and was able to make you actually pretty supremely tanky on Kha'Zix, normally thought of as an assassin jungle way back when. We're talking 2014, 2015 times. So Kha'Zix, not quite the Lee Sin, but still a happy one to see from Insect.
Yeah, would have been interested to see the Yasuo as well, and would have meant probably Nico mid, Aatrox top, and Yasuo Alistar bot, going back to the old days of the Awesome Dudes here in 2018.
Well, are we going to see Awesome Dude versus Awesome Dude? These final 2 picks will give us that information.
That they will. We could have the Cassiopeia top or mid and swapping with the Akali for top or mid if they do go ahead for that 80 carry, but ooh.
Yep, this would be the confirmation.
Thinking about it.
This would be Cassiopeia bot lane. Almost kind of 90%, 10% chance, you would say, of the Zoe bot lane that was played in the 2018 season. So, looks like we're going to have blind pick Zoe here, because now we know Zoe mid lane, Akali top lane, Cassiopeia bot lane, kind of 70, 80, 90%. So that's what winners going to look at, and they still go for the Yasuo. This would mean Nico mid lane, Yasuo Alistar bot lane. Most likely, it could still be a Nico bot lane. We're going to have to wait to 20 seconds to know the full information.
Yeah, definitely kind of interesting. I mean, the Yasuo gains some power. I suppose you can use that wind wall against the Zoe pretty nicely, and I suppose the Olaf and the Thresh, there are some abilities in there as well.
There's a lot of different mechanics to talk about in Yasuo versus Cassio. It's actually a very common mid lane matchup. Because it's now Q-Max Cassio, Yasuo's dash is going to be really good at dodging out that instant burst. It will be the bot lane matchup, as is confirmed here. We do know that Twin Fang goes through the win wall. That's the big interaction, why people have always loved Cassio win, but given how the skills are now being maxed in different ways, how will that affect the flow of the bot lane? Alistar Yasuo, definitely a knockup factory at level 6 for the Yasuo to get going, but it is double range versus double melee, so even in spite of some cool interactions, Alistar doesn't give a lot of lane presence for the Yasuo early, and sort of matchup that could be heavily counterpicked by just a Soraka support. Kind of made Yasuo useless in previous metas. How's it all going to come together here? I'm happy to be front row seat to find out.
This is definitely a game where we learn a lot about different lane combinations and some of the stuff that we were thinking we would see a lot of as we came into the KeSPA Cup on this new patch. Now, after game one, it does seem like a little bit of a discrepancy in terms of the skill level between these two teams. It is to be expected, LCK versus Challengers, but here we are hoping that winners with their cool draft with the Yasuo Alistar return to the bot lane can make something happen. But let's go ahead into our interview with our winners coach.
코치님 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
자, 아직까지는 좀 분전을 하고 있습니다. 0대1로 좀 뒤처지고 있는 상황인데요. 1세트 경기가 끝나고
Still struggling here at KeSPA Cup.
선수들이 첫 대회다
But
보니까
how is the mood with the players after game one?
많이 느낀다고 해서
Well, for a lot of them, it's their first games ever, so they're feeling a lot of pressure, and they're pretty nervous. So just go in, I told them to just go into the games with a comfortable mind and not overthink it. A lot of the players in your team don't have much experience.
근데 역시 LCK에 올라간 팀답게 잘하고 있어서 저희가 이제 기본기가 아니라
I thought we would have done a little bit better, but SANDBOX just promoting to the LCK. They have gotten much better, so we can't really rely on our old skills. We have to adapt.
네, 충분히 볼 수 있을 것 같습니다.
네, 두 번째 세트 팀 위너스의 분전도 기대됩니다.
So can we expect some aggressive play from team winners as well? Kind of like we saw out of SANDBOX. That would be nice. He says, yes, we're going to go into that.
And it's so cool. That's actually Ella, former support of Everett Winners and Snake Esports, who's now a coach for the team. So ex-pro player, really cool to see there. Was a big fan of his play back on the Snake days. It was Ella and Crystal in the bot lane. Crystal was just the best Draven player in the world at the time, back in spring 2015, many years ago now. We're still not seeing that Draven today. It's been Draven banned, sadly, as Ella's coming on screen. Hi, Ella. Nice to see you. Gave us a hello there. The wonders of the KeSPA Cup here.
I like to
we
just
have
stare
Ella
at
on
them
screen.
as they come through.
I don't know how his English is. I would have loved to have him on. He was over in the LPL,
Hey,
so I imagine
yeah.
he was speaking English on Snake. So maybe for the future, we'll talk to KeSPA and see what can happen there.
Yeah.
But cool to see Ella in a new role now as coaching staff on Winners. They still have a lot of work to do, clearly, as a team. But like we're saying, kind of like a broadcast scrim, kind of saying, all right, guys, this is your first real stage game. Didn't look too great in game number one, but a great VOD review, I'm sure, is coming later. And the meta is still, of course, something that not everyone is agreeing on. We haven't seen I'm going for this aggressive pick, and then they try to counterpick this aggressive pick with any regularity in this tournament. And it feels like Riot has really pushed the game in that direction. Will it be future games? Will it be future weeks? We'll have to wait and see. But with the meta up in the air right now, you definitely take SANDBOX Gaming for game number 2.
Yeah, definitely does feel like that. I mean, we all know what it's like to come on stage for your first time ever. We've seen this so many times. I'm sure a lot of you guys.
Even as a caster.
Yeah, as a caster, as, you know, you go to your first high school talent show, you're like, let me try to play piano. It's really nerve-wracking, guys. It's not easy. The same thing happens here in esports. And here we are, guys. We're ready to jump into game number 2. No delays today. We're just running right through this broadcast. Let's jump into game number 2.
Even our person in the headset. Happy that we're rocking through the game set. That's right, person in the headset. Shout out to Monsty from Africa TV. They're the players, but they're shrouded in darkness. Nocturne Ultimate is active here during the game so that things aren't too hot, keeping the temperature control going in the studio. And, ooh, a bit of a change here. Empire is actually who Marit has disguised himself on, so that's just the Alistar who's showing himself.
Yeah, and it's not all that uncommon to see that kind of thing, but now he shows that he's Yasuo, and it's like, well, how did that happen?
Well, we definitely want to see an improved performance. Was a bit of a mare coming through from Marit on the Nico in game number 1. We'll see if he can actually get things going here. Now he's a jungler. Ha, he says, just like you did, Valdez. Going for a late invade here, because guess what? If Olaf walks up, Nico has to avoid the axe, otherwise she'll be revealed and potentially taken down. A lot of fun things going on in the bot lane. Trying to explain this to viewers from 2016, the KeSPA Thresh versus the Yasuo Alistar. Meta very much on its head, so a lot of changes there. First time we're going to see the KeSPA bot that has been terrorizing solo queue and is right up there as S+ tier on the tier list, mostly because the flex nature of KeSPA kind of wins top, mid, and bottom, but the bot lane is the new one, and the bot lane she does pretty uniquely well in, with the crit 80 carries still very much on the sidelines.
I do like the feel of, I remember when awesome dudes or, you know, just casters in the bot lane that weren't AD carries first came in. There were a lot of people that were like, yeah, this is great. You know, the game is changing, new meta. This is a lot of fun, most fun I've had in years. There were some people that were very critical and saying, this is not the meta I wanted. I'm an AD carry main. I don't know how to play Vladimir. I don't know how to play Yasuo. You know, where does this all come in? I feel like now we're slowly getting into a good place where sometimes we have AD carries, and that makes sense. Sometimes we have awesome dudes, and that makes sense. And, you know, KeSPA being strong down there, we see her banned out a lot. That's cool. It's kind of this developing meta with certain different champions, such as her and Yasuo and even Nico, stuff like that. So I just like that feeling of how the game has evolved in that way.
Look, the only casters in the bot lane I don't like is when you and I duo Q and we get bot lane together, because we just do not win any games in that scenario. Speaking of casters in the bot lane, though, both Gap and Hollow played a lot of these awesome dudes like everyone else. They weren't ruler types that stuck with just marksman AD carry. They were very much playing the bot lane carry. 7-1 for Gap on winners. Now, winners came in second place team in the regular season in Challenger last year. Unfortunately, did not actually promote through, so they were a team that did very well. But with the roster changes, some of their big talents jumped up to the LCK. Marung, the jungler, is now on Jin Air. We'll see him later in the day, and other changes have happened. So Gap, we'll see how the Yasuo goes. Worth noting that Hollow has played a lot of Yasuo himself.
Yeah, I mean, you say that, but in terms of Yasuo plays so
it's
far
Alistair,
in this game,
baby. Alistair Yasuo. The level 1 is not where things kick off.
he has 1 CS. The entire first wave went straight into the turret, and he couldn't get a single one. Finally, he's getting some CS here, up to 4 against 19 to start off the game in the bottom lane.
Look, let's give him some credit. There's a reason why some of them were missed, and that's that Alistair couldn't even walk up to get a Relic Shield proc. So that was very much about letting the wave push up. But I did say double range versus double melee and level 6 are the operative things for winners to hope for, because before that, you're just getting dunked on by KeSPA Thresh.
I mean, if you play a lot of mid lane, you'll know what KeSPA can do in the mid lane in terms of harassment, especially if you're playing a melee champion. They picked the Yasuo into potentially, I mean, they saw all 5 members of the other team, and they knew that the KeSPA could definitely be going into that bottom lane. They still picked the Yasuo, so, you know, they only have themselves to blame for getting into this matchup. And it's not an easy one. KeSPA can be really annoying early on in the game.
Yeah, the Q being able to go under the win wall is very frustrating to deal with, but given its Q max, we'd expect, I imagine he's going to be very on point to dodge that ability. Again, 824B, there was 30 damage shaved off late off that KeSPA Q, so at least when it comes to level 9 kind of times, that is a nerf to Casio, but things will definitely get better and better as we go on. Definitely a comfortable lane matchup for Nico. That's probably why they went with Nico mid. Not going to have the same threat coming through from the Zoe. Doesn't shove the wave as fast after all the nerfs compared to, say, Victor with the E augment like we saw yesterday. So hopefully the Nico will be able to show her stripes. And in the top lane, Akali is 100% win rate this time. It might be a solo kill here. Ooh, the counter flash stops it from happening.
Yeah, maybe trying to bait out a little bit here as Crush is making his way in with the Predator. Weiser just has to be careful, and they should be able to pick up this first blood kill. There it is. Goes over to Crush on the Olaf.
Weiser calls the jungler at the right time. The follow flash was enough to get him away. That's the win wall down. The bot lane certainly is going to twist back to the side of winners before level 6. That one's on fire. And with the top laner going down, can't really afford both things to happen to allow any sort of stability in the early game for winners. Another good early game from SANDBOX.
Yeah. Eventually this bot lane, hopefully, will come online because, I mean, even in solo queue, this is a game and a discrepancy where you'd say, you'd be throwing out the question mark pings even in that kind of lane because that is a big one so far. You see Insect tries to go down there and give them some room. He does give them room, but no gank really comes off.
As you come over the blasting plant, if you have your blue ward in the right spot, doesn't really matter what's going on. You will be spotted coming over, and unfortunately, was fully to the knowledge of Joker and Hollow there. They're able to get away, continue dunking on the bot lane. Insect farming it up while Crush gets off a successful gank on a Predator jungler. It's definitely a bad look for the side of winners. The mid lane going competitive, that's the best you can hope for. And on first back, you can see that even with the ability to push out that last wave, it's 16 CS difference. That's 2.5 minion waves that won't be able to be picked up by the Yasuo or Alistair in the bot side.
Interesting rune choice up on the top side. You see this every so often. Lots of electrocute Akali, but goes for the phase rush. Doesn't want to be, you know, stopped from moving really fast when she needs to be on top of people. One of the biggest things about Akali is moving in and out of your shroud and having mobility, so plays to those strengths instead with this rune.
And very reliable to outplay the W from Aatrox with that phase rush ability if you can proc it. Speaking of Aatrox and Akali, it's the whole team!
Okay, everybody's up in the top lane, but unfortunately, Crab not able to land that knock-up, and, well, there's the phase rush coming in.
This is one way to deal with a bad lane, is to lane swap, and it was not to the knowledge of SANDBOX Gaming. How many checkpoints get? Remember, after they get the first one, armor and MR per champion near the turret means that the rush is going to be slower. There's no Rift Herald on the map. That's already 2 checkpoints. Welcome gold for specifically Gap and Empire.
Very nice play there. Exhaust comes here in the mid lane. It's just Dove and Marit trading a bit. Might be able to force Marit out of this lane. Gonna throw out the clone to block anything else. I'd like to see the bot lane and see how that's going.
Well,
how far along they are.
The speed advantage is certainly with these. It's so much. Look how amusingly slow it is when you take 4 checkpoints. There's an extra 100+ armor. Because right, it's 25 armor and MR per champion near, and it stacks. So right now, this turret is tankier than a Dr. Mundo at level 18. So that finally, eventually, they're scratching him with just amusing slowness. Will they even be able to take a blue buff off the back end? It takes so damn long. They will certainly lose a Drake for it as well.
Yeah, you lose the first blood turret, but you do have to give away maybe the bottom lane turret, probably the bottom lane turret plus the Cloud Drake. So they do welcome that trade.
One thing I want viewers to appreciate at home and remember this for next season is, if you noticed, it was actually about the speed, same speed, maybe even faster for 2 people to take down the turret after the first couple of plates. They were much slower to start the turret, but they're not taking basically 0 damage on auto from the turret that time because there's not all that extra armor and MR. Stacking is 5, late lane swaps were the meta for 2 years. They work very differently now. They get some gold, they get winners bot lane out of a bad matchup, but was it worth it? Your initial impression is no.
Yeah, they're just going to let these last minions die, and there goes a ton of gold to both Cassiopeia and the Thresh. So, man, that Cassiopeia is going to be very fed here. Nearly has the most farm in the game, just behind the Zoe, and already has tons of tower gold.
900 gold is the difference. First brick, the actual first brick bonus, only 150 gold now. It's tuned down a little bit because of all the checkpoint gold. That's the only thing that separates the 2 bot laners, because they all were involved. In fact, there's more selfish gold, right, to Cassiopeia and Thresh, because it was only a duo. So while maybe the jungler loses out slightly, Crush is doing very happily here. A couple of camps up. So overall, the gold is where you'd want it on the side of SANDBOX. They're going to be very, very close to a first item. Might actually be Ludens instead of the Saris here, or the Archangels completed by Hollow. The bot lane is still not level 6, and there is level 6s on the side of SANDBOX, so time for Yasuo to get away from the minion.
Yeah, you mentioned the buy of Cassiopeia. Looks like it was a little bit awkward there. Maybe had 900 gold, but not the 1,500 for the Ludens, so just had to go for the Fiendish Codex instead. That's always an awkward feeling, but I'm sure he'll get over it, as he's doing pretty damn well in the game anyway. Weiser going to be just fine on the Akali. That mobility. Will we see this Pop Blossom actually do anything? This time it hits one person, but it's not going to matter, as Weiser barely takes any damage from it here. The Olaf gets low. There's the flash in, and finally Crab able to shut him down. They get another kill on Akali, but also the Alistair goes down the right side.
Not over yet.
They're not done yet. They're still chasing. Nice knock-up into double last breath there from the Yasuo, but still Crab is going to get too low. Double buff on Hollow. The Cassiopeia, 2 kills now. He's running away with this one.
Let's see if Joe can get this hook. Insects flashes down.
Oh, the flash forward just to make sure, and Duff will pick up another kill of his own. This team getting way out of hand now.
Winners just wanted to fight when they had a numbers advantage. At the start, they went 2 for 2, which given where the game was at was pretty damn good, but then the reinforcements show up. The checkpoints continue to go down. It's actually a nice little play here, because remember, this is the Nico, but she's going to be revealed so reliably by the Miasma.
Yeah.
Gonna watch the replay to watch this one. Insect goes in so aggressively, because look at the mini-map. There's no way for Thresh and Cassio to get here first. The Pop Blossom, man, Nico looks so much more balanced in the KeSPA Cup than she does in my solo queue games. So predictable, so easily taken down with good communication. With the start here, things look good, but by the time Alistair shows up, KeSPA just looks at him and he dies instantly. And from there, it seems like Gap and Crab are making a good play, but unfortunately, the reinforcements are there. The members go down. Insect waiting for his leap cooldown, not enough. And one answering kill on the Akali is a start, but that's really all you have to say for winners.
I mean, Akali wasn't even the one with any of the bounties, as she only has 58 CS in 12 minutes. It's been a very action-packed top lane, as the lane swap did come in. Of course, most of the CS is in mid and bot, and still that's going to be in favor of SANDBOX.
Definitely we're in the are you not entertained territory. This is the most checkpoints we've seen go down and turrets go down in the early game by a country mile. How about another checkpoint for KeSPA?
How about the Rift Heralds?
In the mid-lane, the Rift Herald could be used to just dunk that turret.
Yeah.
It will. A Rift Herald pre-14 minutes, a Christmas miracle.
I mean, it's actually going to happen in the mid lane. And I think they'd be wise to just give all the gold over to Hollow. Looks like some of that went to Thresh, or maybe
Thresh
all of it.
there. Come on, team.
What's with Thresh being so greedy today?
But at least the coach, like, finally, something I can ask to VOD review. Everything else went so well, I can actually point out and be like, what are you doing here? Kali was too far up, level 7, same level as Insect because of all the shenanigans with the lane swaps. So Empire rolls in. Goodbye, Akali, for this moment. But how about some more kills?
Well, he's going to be in the Shroud, and this time he's got the rest of his team to help him out, not the other way around.
Yasuo's like, cool life, Bob, bro.
Yeah. Gap's like, sorry, our names are similar, but I can't help you out in this situation. As well, that's going to be another catch there, as Crab is also going to go down there. Thinking about this once again.
All right, dunking on the Akali is really all winners can hope for in this moment. Here comes Insect, not spotted till now.
Well, she has a Shroud and a Shuriken, but doesn't look like that's going to do much, as he does go down.
Are we fighting?
We're fighting, Papa. This is all we do in this game. Nice little knock up there, but Gap not able to get on in there anyway. Didn't think about it, as Empire's going to get low. And once again, Gap says no thank you. This time he's going to go in, finds the Thresh finally. Crab coming in here trying to go 1v1 versus the Zoe, who is now 1v4. Might be able to get this one last kill. Oh, out of range! That's so unfortunate. Dove, though, still able to flash away. Not able to pick up his second kill. Also misses that on the backside. Kind of an unfortunate play.
That was a good trade for winners. They were able to outplay and trade up in kills despite being pretty far behind already in the gold count. You need moments like that. Still, Nico comes in and is expected, so no value of the pop loss, not even used there by Marit in the fight. Well, watch the replay here. Alistair comes out, and you know someone's behind him. It's at best the Yasuo, at worst the Kha'Zix in stealth as well. Goes down very early, and Joker's a man after our heart, and probably the YouTube chat as well, and says, oh, we're going to fight now. It's a fighting meta. Let's keep fighting. So at least they listen to the coach. No doubt the coach has said, keep fighting. It's a fighting meta. As they come in, Empire's health bar takes a long time to whittle down, so they actually take down Thresh on the bot side. The teleport is pretty proactive and in a good spot, so there's no ability to help out the Zoe fight. With her, Crab just out of range. Probably would have died to the W. More sparkles there. And we end that analysis with the back to live. About 3,000 gold is the lead here for SANDBOX Gaming. They desperately want to see a first item completion onto the Akali. Desperate for a Gunblade.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about the Luden's item choice instead of the Seraph's. The Cassiopeia at the end of that was full health with no mana. So if she had mana, she would have definitely 2v3'd with the Zoe in that situation, but instead wanted to go for the upfront damage in the team fights. Already did her job, I suppose, taking out Empire. Joker, this is just maybe a little bit too much fighting for the Thresh. Will he actually get away? No, Insect shuts him down. Delph here, okay, trying to go 1v2. This is getting just insane. Oh! What is going on? Hollow able to three-man ult in the enemy jungle. The fighting never stops as here comes Akali over the wall. Is able to find the Aatrox, but doesn't want to take that fight with Yasuo behind him.
The KeSPA Cup goes from Siesta to Fiesta so quickly. Hollow was over. There was no way to know that the Cassio was there. Three-man petrifying gaze. Probably could have flashed in and just got some extra kills. She is a one-man army. Kali not able to get too much involvement, just a single kill to her name. This Cassio, short of being out of mana, is the biggest problem for winners. To keep capitalizing what has been some good moments for them.
Yeah, well, if nothing else happens in this game, we can say that the players, as well as the fans and us, are all having a lot of fun, as there's just cool moment after cool moment that's coming from some mistakes, but also some great plays.
And Joker, unfortunately, despite being one of the veterans here, just too far up with no information on the enemy side. Pop Blossom gets some damage onto Olaf, another kind of waste. But look at this petrifying gaze. Akali is just wishes she could get more damage off. She wishes there was more people to hit. They all lined up for petrifying gaze to run wild through the team. Not able to kill everyone else. A nice catch from Gap onto Zoe as she was walking up. Let's keep watching this game because it's definitely still a work in progress when it comes to SANDBOX Gaming. They're embracing the fighting meta too much, not dotting their I's, not crossing their T's. And right now, winners have made a couple of good decisions to keep themselves within the game.
Yeah, SANDBOX maybe having a little bit too much fun. This can happen, especially when game one was such a stomp. But you got to be careful. I mean, we saw what can happen yesterday. Insec, is he willing to take the one-on-one here? It looks like he is, as he's going to pop that one. Wiser just going to gunblade him and say no.
That was some Akali moments, right? They said, I'm going to hit him now. Oh, no, the shot. It was very frustrating for Insec there. Definitely got owned by some of those base mechanics, even after the changes on 824B. Top turret goes down. Away from a 5v5 where they don't have all the members showing up, things are still going very well for the side of SANDBOX Gaming, but when they try to get, a bit too bloodlusty, that's when things are starting to fall apart.
Well, that scary Cassiopeia with the 800 bounty, gold bounty there, is picked up her Zhonya's now, as well as a blasting wand. So she already does so much attacking. Now you're going to try to jump on top of her with the, the Kha'Zix, Aatrox, Yasuo combo, but because Zhonya's out of that, out of a Pop Blossom, there's just so much more survivability in her kit now.
I have one scenario where Cassio doesn't carry a fight, but apart from just randomly being picked somewhere, which is Alistar flanks her and she wastes all of her mana killing Alistar. That's the best case scenario here for the side of winners because she is certainly primed to hard carry. No blue buff on the Cassio, but a bit of extra armor, a bit of extra tankiness here, the 12% damage reduction coming through from the Knight's Vow. 6% because it's a ranged ally, I should mention. Yeah. Thresh with Knight's Vow. Not the best, but couldn't really build Zeke's convergence with a Cassio. We're walking around looking for picks. We do see Nico revealed on the bot side, and when you're in position as a Zoe comp, which we haven't seen too much in the KeSPA Cup, you look for that catch, you fish for it, and you delete a target instantly.
You got to be careful about the Aatrox flank. We've all seen the Shy come in and 5-man knock up with that Aatrox flashing on in, but Crab, unfortunately, is on a ward, is going to get caught out here. Dove takes a little bit of damage on the backside, but at least that Aatrox ultimate is going to be taken away.
They don't know that Insec is the one flanking. They can't know if it's Insec or, in fact, the Nico, because right now we could see. And Nico was disguised as Kha'Zix. Nice little mind game there. Who's to say if that was the exact reason that SANDBOX backed off a fight, but it's definitely a contributor. They're going to push through mid lane. Another good way to deal with shenanigans. Think about the AP Shaco days. Just don't go in the brush or the boxes. Just push through the lanes where the boxes can't get involved. Same thoughts against this flanking Nico. How about just a mid lane in a turret?
Got a couple of members of the enemy team out of position. Get them to back. You can just take position in the mid lane. Go for that one. Return to the Drake if you really want it. They're also looking for a Insec here in the jungle. Not going to find him. They're just going to back away. Should be happy with where the game state is right now.
But the information here that the Drake has been started, no surprise, of course, to the side of SANDBOX. With the mana bars, do note that Dove has about 1.5 rotations of spells available. Still Joker starts fishing.
Looking for it, is actually going to play them away. In this case, they have gotten positioned and they see Aatrox up on the top side. He does have TP, but not the greatest place. There it is, gonna come in. Finally, Pop Blossom gets 2 members and the knock-up on the top side. Hollow incredibly low as well. This is their moment. Wiser doing a bit on the Akali, but that is it. Everybody else on the side of SANDBOX going to be routed here as the 4th member goes down. They finally did it.
Can you say wombo combo? That's what they're looking for. Last breath as the Pop Blossom is armed. Huge burst, and even Hollow isn't able to get things done. Winners run over the Baron, and what is a poor Akali to do to stop this from going down?
Not much here. Doesn't even have her ultimate left available. That's exactly what they wanted. Finally, Nico shows that she has some goodness in her kit. She has so much damage on that ultimate. It finally hits someone.
Now, Wiser doesn't have the ult to get over here. Does have the ability to pop over, but it's probably just to her death, and they have to give this one up. Seeing if Wiser's looking for an exit kill. It's not going to be a Baron contest. Joker's coming up here. Can they at least get 1 Baron down?
Well, they're going to have to try for that Yasuo. There's the flash forward, but really nice patience on the win wall, I'd say. Waits until that one moment where he knows the hook is going to come out after the flash, and he gets away.
Could only be undone by the Assassin's Path there, or the E coming through from the Akai. We're going to watch the replay here. Kha'Zix comes in, so well done. They thought it was a Kha'Zix. No, no, no. This is in fact a Nico. Gets the burst in the backline. They can't even leverage Hollow's very strong extended team fighting, because by the time that she was ready to go, came out of stasis, assassinated by Insec. That was definitely the wet dream for Insec on this Kha'Zix, and the Baron, the icing on the cake for what is now just a 400 gold game between SANDBOX and Winners.
Yeah, Winners from this point definitely can make something happen, turn the tides of this game in their favor. The Kha'Zix, Insec getting super fed now, has a Guardian Angel after the Duskblade and the Warriors enchant. He's doing really well for himself, and I have to say, you mentioned it, but the Nico Kha'Zix combination, it's actually really tricky. It's becoming this thing where is it the Nico that's flanking or the Kha'Zix at times, and it's hard to react to one or the other. They're so different in terms of their abilities.
And you want to just fall over and be, all right, that's the moment Winners have got this game. Do note, it's a very tanky build from Gap. He's gone for Sterix second, no Infinity Edge just yet. I think this game, kind of like how we said bot lane is nothing until a certain point, the team fights here for Winners, if they have the Infinity Edge, that means you don't have to have the God tier Pop Blossom to win. Yasuo can do heavy lifting as well. So we're on the precipice here. There's a bit of a timer for SANDBOX. Not a hard timer. Cassio can still do a lot of great things. But there's a semi-timer here to get the most out of this game, the most out of their comp. For the side of SANDBOX Gaming, they do have triple AP as well. So the big question here is, can Winners get enough advantages, get and baby Gap to the Infinity Edge point? Because maybe it's all plain sailing from there in a Game 3 assurance.
Look at Insec here, has that Guardian Angel. He is just so sneaky on this Kha'Zix. You see a lot of these plays happen in the past, but this is just really fantastic Kha'Zix play so far. We'll see if he can actually make something happen on the flank here. Dove is extremely low now, just about half health, but is able to land that trouble bubble and get Insec away. It definitely feels like the tides have heavily turned in favor of Winners, especially with the Baron buff that they have now. We'll see what they can get out of it, though.
The thing previously was you couldn't really factor in Baron because it was so unlikely that Winners would get Baron with a comp like this where the Kha'Zix is the jungler, no tank to actually help out. Alistar wants to be on the turn, so the Baron's so difficult to get. But now, all the attention to shutting down Akali because she's so behind, 127 CS in 24 minutes, plus a Baron buffed Aatrox. Now you can't really play that side lane. Now they're getting advantages around the Wombo combo players who are in the mid lane. So given how all that comes together, it's the best possible game state for Winners to move forward, to finally get their first gold lead in forever. Feels like the entire series for Winners to actually get something good rolling for them. They push through the mid lane. They won't get this turret just yet, but things starting to come together for Winners in a big way.
Cassiopeia, still very scary. They were thinking about it just up against the Olaf, pushing for that turret, but not when they see that Cassiopeia. Already 3.5 items here. Rylai's finished, as well as a Blasting Wand. I think it's going to be up to Hollow to really output that sustained damage in a lot of these team fights, but she has to be careful against Insec flanking her up a level, actually, on Hollow right now.
2250 gold now for the Infinity Edge completion, and that's where things might shift another gear. So we're waiting to see, after the BF sword is done, what can happen here. The Gap wants to pick up all the farm he can. If this is a 55,000 gold game, you look at Winners comp and you nod your head and say, maybe that's the time with the single damage profile that SANDBOX have put together. They were so far ahead to a point, and then they kind of ran it down. You know, they kind of really follows the essence of that meme and talk about how they just took fights they didn't need to, made mistakes, and even some good moments with the Cassiopeia may not be enough. Cassio's huge. You know, she's 3.5 items here on the Cassio, and she could still win a team fight if it's played perfectly. But I see 7 out of 10 team fights going to Winners at this point, and maybe more when Infinity Edge or Guardian Angel is there. So given all of that, let's wait and see how SANDBOX try to close this one out. There's still a game to the SANDBOX Gaming takedown.
Let's see that Winners just setting up this one moment on the right side. There's 2 Kha'Zixes. One of those is Nico. We'll have to see how they go for this. Do they just send in 2 Kha'Zixes from behind? That would be insane. Never seen anything like that.
Kha'Zixes?
I know. I wonder if that is actually a strategy that could work, though. We'll have to wait and see if they actually go for it, but they send one of their Kha'Zixes bot. Surprise, it is Nico. that is going to continue pushing here. Who wins the fight of Nico versus this underfed Akali is a good question.
2-level lead makes it a bit more muddy. Like you say, I still want to say Akali, just how the kits are put together, but the Banshee Veil gonna be much more about disrupting burst potential than actually interrupting any important skills when you're against Akali. Joker walks up and desperately wants some of these relic sacks to come in. Watch through the mid lane here. Taking a mid lane turret with this lineup of melee champions pretty damn hard. Only the Nico has any range to her. Top side, it's going to be difficult to take him down. It's take a while.
Yeah, they got slows, though. They'll definitely get him out of his ultimate. Question is, can they follow up here? You'll notice Winners on the map going for the bot lane to flash forward here from the Olaf. They are going to shut down this Aatrox in the top side, but Insect going a little bit too far forward. Now Hollow's going to get that miasma down, and you are dead. Weiser just going to take his life. Actually gives the kill over to the Cassiopeia. Unfortunately, Yasuo and Alistar in the mid lane, not able to help down there in the bottom lane.
Feels like acceptable losses, though, given that they actually lost out in top and bot lane. I don't know what happened bot lane. This has to have been a misplay, I would imagine, from Insect. Comes in with Guardian Angel and thinks he's a god. They already knew the Thresh was there. He was there a moment ago. And it's just a real damage miscalculation coming through. The miasma, of course, seals the fate of the Kha'Zix. We're on Baron. Picture in picture here. Let's watch the Baron. It's about half health.
Yep, gotta watch the Baron. It looks like the rest of the team is just gonna give that one away.
Kha'Zix still dead.
Yeah, Kha'Zix is dead. Merit is at least down here getting some damage done on this. He's going to have the Pop Blossom on the Akali. Should be a kill, although he's able to flash away out of that. The Q is not going to land, and he is going to take him down, but at least the inhibitor goes the way of Winners.
Just like when SANDBOX Gaming were at their strongest in trading down, these are some trading down moments from Winners when it felt like the game was back in their control. No longer. With the Baron going the way of SANDBOX Gaming, remember they had the one-man siege combo that is Dove on this Zoe. They can roll up here, and yes, they have lost an inhibitor, but they're going to look for some answering ones, and they have some super powerful minions to help them out.
3 minutes now on this Baron. We're going to have to take a deep breath. They're pushing down the wave, the lane that has the super minions, because they already have a big wave, obviously, the Cassiopeia, and the rest of the damage in that lane can push away the super minions relatively easily. Take a look at Insect and his positioning once again. He's going for Dove, but Dove is going to ghost out of there. Not going to be fighting any insects anytime soon.
Reminiscent of Umti in that 94-minute game, looking for picks to stop the inevitable. Speaking of inevitable, we're coming from all angles here from Winners.
Here we go, Insect very fast, and here is the Aatrox as well. Who's going to give their life? Akali up on the top side as well. It's probably going to go down to the Nico. They're turning it around, actually, onto Empire Hollow. Kept safe throughout the entire fight, and the Akali still alive, able to Zhonya's on the backside. Finally does go down. Crush here still having his Guardian Angel. Doesn't care if he goes down. No more Aatrox ultimate. And not much that Gap can do, is never able to enter the fight.
Winners was desperate to stop their Bing, and he saw siege set up from the Zoes. They come from all angles, but Akali stopping the Pop Blossom from being a multi-man ability means that she interrupts, has the Zhonya's, and also the ability to go into stasis. May go down, but it allows the minion wave to push up, and this could be two answering inhibitors from the side of SANDBOX Gaming, depending on how long they want to stick around, which right now, it seems like not much.
Well, they have the push in the top side, but I guess they were just scared about the respawns. Let's take a look at the replay here.
Again, it's a bit of a flying V coming through from Winners. Insects coming at the top side here. The problem they have is that while Aatrox starts rushing in, they're only damaging Olaf, and the Akali AoE damage, AoE zoning there stops the Nico from joining, gets into the back line. Nico doesn't end up being a teamfight contributor. She could have just finished off the teamfight, never got there. The Akali not being there means that eventually SANDBOX Gaming has the space, has the ability to go for closest target. They get an inhibitor turret, but overall, considering everything, with only 50 seconds of Baron left, no answering inhibitor taken by SANDBOX Gaming.
I mean, they didn't even get the inner turret up on the top side either with that big wave that they thought was going to push in there. Might be able to get a third Mountain Drake with the Cassiopeia that's fed. That would be pretty insane in terms of objectives. Looks like they're going to go for that now, but here's Insect again. And he burst combo him down. The Olaf coming in, trying to help. Insect using his lead, not able to get away, unfortunately. Didn't expect the Olaf there. Eventually goes down.
And that was a deal that was target buffed in this patch, because if you start the Q from Kha'Zix, it will register even as you're going into Shroud. Same with Nasa's Q and other targeted auto attack kind of abilities, any melee abilities like that. But given the scenario, just wasn't able to finish it off. goes down after everything. Now if you see a Kha'Zix from the backside, you know it's Nico, and you can play accordingly as well. So the flanking strategy that Winners was taken now takes a downturn. The Mountain Drake, like you mentioned, means that the pushing ability is insane from the side of SANDBOX Gaming. They're trying to keep this into disarray. They're trying to keep this as solo queue style as possible. Is the Kha'Zix comp from Winners. 1 kill a minute is the action we're seeing here. But right now, the last couple of skirmishes has gone heavily the way of SANDBOX Gaming.
Well, we are going to have to wait for these next objectives to spawn. Of course, they do spawn much faster in terms of the Baron being equal with the Elder spawn right now. Looks like the Baron will be spawning next in just 2 minutes here. They send the Cassiopeia down on the bottom side with the blue buff. As I mentioned before, you can take out the super minions so easily with their magic damage that is sustained. Let's see how Dove does against this. No, just going to send out a fake clone up against him.
You do notice that given just how itemization works, it's double Guardian Angel against a team with no physical damage dealers. So yes, you have the ability to respawn. Yes, this could still be a lot of damage onto Hull. Let's watch this one. Insect says, wait, he's 2 levels up, maybe not. Didn't find him in the shop like he hoped, but there's actually no magic resist really outside of a Banshee Veil on the side of Winners. I feel like there were other choices that did similar properties that actually would have helped them out here. Even Guardian Angel being dropped for IE plus a stopwatch probably overall is the right choice for the side of Winners, but they've kind of min-maxed into a way that doesn't get the double value out of their purchases, and being 4,000 gold down and having to go for some kind of wonky items doesn't help them unless they're getting picks rather than actually the 5v5 that seems to be on the menu.
Well, this Baron is about to spawn here 40 seconds right as that blue inhibitor comes up in the bottom lane. So at least Insect has been able to get the push going down there and force somebody on the side of SANDBOX to go down there, especially now that Weiser does not have his teleport. But there's still time to go for this Baron before it'll push into the inhibitor.
Okay, I was going to say we need to talk because it looks like Empire is building a Frozen Heart against his team.
Well, okay.
Oh, nice interrupt.
Really nice play there. Insect, he does have the GA, but can he get away? The Gunblade gonna try to shut down his life. That's gonna be the first one. And if they catch the jungler before Baron, that should be lights out here. Takes him out. And unfortunately, Insect, a little bit too aggressive, is not going to be there for the Baron.
Only good news story I have is it's definitely going to be into a Zeke's Convergence and not a Frozen Heart. Okay. If it was a Frozen Heart, I might have to actually stop watching the game and stop casting. I'd be so tilted. But good news, it's going to be into Magic Resist soon. Zooming into the moment, though, they've lost their jungler again. The Baron's on the menu. Insect is trying to get fast and loose with some of these interrupts, but he's gone down again. This Baron's going to die fast to 3 Mountain Drake Cassiopeia.
It basically doesn't exist for more than about 10 seconds. Here's Marriott, though. Really nice Pop Blossom, and there is going to go down the Akali before the fight even starts. It's exactly what they needed out of this Nico, but now Gap getting pretty low. Dove, though, forced to flash away on the top side. Really big knock up there from Empire. Gets Joker and Cross on the backside, but man, this Cassiopeia is insane, but now she's out of mana. It's going to have to be up to Crush and the remnants of the Zoe. The rest of them are just on the run here. Even Zoe just going to run out of this one, is able to get away. Hollow wants to get that recall, but here's Insect going to shut that down and finally get that bounty off of the Cassiopeia.
A second one.
Also gets the Olaf, which means that only Zoe lives to tell the tale.
That is a nice little gold transfer to the side of Winners. They lose the Baron a second time, kind of inevitable when Insect went down. But when you go for this low mana build, if you're spamming down the Baron, you ain't got no time for the team fight. You got no mana to be able to take it in any serious way. Cassiopeia is supposed to be their insurance policy for 5v5s, but she's showing up without a ticket every time with this no mana build. Means that unfortunately it ends up being way more competitive. If this Cassiopeia has mana, this team fight goes the way of SANDBOX Gaming. Instead, Winners does better than expected once again, and suddenly this game is to some degree in the balance as we go forward to the next fight.
That's unfortunate because now even if you realize that you needed that mana for these late game fights to build a tier now, I don't think so. It's a little bit too late for that kind of scaling item. But you'll also notice the fantastic engage there from the Nico, pretended to be Aatrox, but all of a sudden, the Pop Blossom you couldn't see and you get flashed on means that the Akali basically didn't exist in that fight.
Now remember, guys, you can, of course, just adjust other parameters. Dove could play this game without blue buff. You give it to the Cassio, but they're giving it for the Siege every time, then doing Baron. That's kind of a mismatch if you think about it. You don't have all the things set up. And speaking of mismatches, still not that tank.
Empire, not sure about that one. He didn't have the flash, though, so kind of unfortunate. Just got caught in that really awkward spot there. Happens a lot in solo queue. Happened to Empire in this game, and, well, let's take a look at that tower basically just disappear before our eyes. Triple Mountain Drake. They're also going to get an inhibitor.
Very hard to make these Kha'Zix mind game plays they've been focusing on, given that Nico has to be doing the ranged wave clearing. She reveals herself. Kha'Zix is on the prowl. Insec coming from a flank. It's been the story all game. They're just going straight through the middle, though. They want to kill Gap.
Wow, Weiser able to assassinate that Yasuo on the backside. He basically didn't exist there. Now Crab getting on top of Dub, but Hollow, not much that he can do, and Weiser by himself is able to take out the entire back lane. Looks like that's going to do it for this one. Going to miss the petrifying gaze, and at least Crab is going to survive. Looks like he's going to go back. He does have his TP. They're looking for the end of the game. Uh-oh, you're on Miasma. Down will go the cow as well, as SANDBOX push to end this one.
SANDBOX will close the 2-0. They finally found a fight with KeSPA with mana. The dream, you would say. Aatrox, sorry, you got no ultimate. You are dead. The world is ending, but only for team winners, and that means that SANDBOX Gaming, formerly Team Battle Comics, will move forward to the round of 8 in this first round robin of the KeSPA Cup.
SANDBOX looking impressive here in the best of 3 up against one of our challenger team winners here. We'll see how they do in the round of 8 as they do go up against stronger teams. Definitely some things can be pointed to, some mistakes that may be taken advantage of by better teams, but overall good performance today. That's all you could have hoped for from them.
And of course, this is a roster coming together very recently for winners. No substitutes. Feels like they're really dealing with the market and kind of losing out to some of the other teams who are putting together 10-man rosters. Insec smiling. He feels pretty happy about his contribution. Second game, very messy, but I think messy games will be much more the norm than the exception over the course of both the KeSPA Cup, when it makes more sense when the rosters are very much new, 2-3 weeks out, but I think also with what the meta that Riot's promoting, these sort of games did focus to help a Nico comp with the Kha'Zix. That's what they wanted to do. SANDBOX made some pretty significant mistakes in game number 2. They still pick up the victory. They finally had a KeSPA with mana, and that was a tonic that there was no answer for on the side of team winners. So team winners KeSPA Cup ends today. The second seed from Summer will not push forward, and SANDBOX Gaming, they do book that round of 8.
That they do. Insec, the obvious leader on this winners team. We'll be excited to see how they do going into Challengers Korea, if they do keep this exact lineup, and if Insec can kind of get everybody together on the same page. You can see he's already very vocal, especially with his mid and top laners there. So we'll be excited to see if they can make something happen in Challengers Korea. SANDBOX Gaming going to be happy with that victory. Definitely feel like their draft and understanding of the meta was just another level above what winners had to offer. Definitely something they'll have to consider as they do go into the next year.
Still to the progressive team, the spoils has been so far the meta of KeSPA Cup 2018, and no exception in this particular series compared to KEG versus Hanwha, where it was all about the team that was much more fresh on the block with no coaches upsetting the established org. LCK will beat Challengers Korea more often than not. Is it 7 out of 10 times, 9 out of 10 times, or 5 out of 10 times? That is to still be answered over the course of the KeSPA Cup. Let's go over some highlights here from what was a very bloody game, definitely for the neutrals, and a lot of people come in with no allegiance between winners or formerly Team Battle Comics, now SANDBOX Gaming. This was definitely a fun one to enjoy.
It was a fun game for the KeSPA, that you can say. She did so much work in this game. The flash away into the petrifying gaze, catches the Aatrox here. Just all over every single team fight she had mana. So you fix that, you get the mana item. Can't think of the name right now, but you're going to be doing a lot more damage sustained over the course of these big fights. Huge petrifying gazes the entire game, as you see there. And just able to pick up 3 kills essentially on her own. Weiser comes in for the kill steal.
And probably very important for Hollow and Joker to have a big performance with Ghost and Totoro breathing down their necks in the squad. A very established bot lane that was pretty competitive in 2017 when they were last together. 2018, of course, Totoro going over to Unicorns of Love, getting some seasoning over in the EULCS. Means that I'm sure he has some new ideas to bring to the team. This will be a fun squad to track. Formerly Team Battle Comics into SANDBOX Gaming. On the side of winners, the only thing you can say about Insec, his only issue was dying into Barons. He was dead as both Barons were claimed, looking for one of those picks Timing's not as clean, but by the end, things came together. SANDBOX took it down, and it'll be interesting to see how competitive they are against probably an LCK opponent in the next round.
Yeah, it's really the question. You can defeat these challenger teams all you like, but for next year, you have to prove to everybody that you can do well on the biggest stage that we have here in Korea. I do have to say that Weiser coming in the top lane, we didn't know what to expect from him. He looked really good, won his lane hard both times. Well, I guess the second game, you can't really call that winning your lane, but he had some really fantastic Akali play, at least in Game 2, and won his lane hard in Game 1.
Here's what we'll say. Comes in for a Soar, who was very impressive the last time we saw him, both in this tournament and for Battle Comics, and he looks like he can play the meta champions, pretty clean on the Akali execution in team fights. I think he did his job for a very young rookie top laner. Very easy to look at as a downgrade, and now we say we're not sure. Seems like a side grade at worst. That's a good news for Battle Comics to keep being competitive in the top. So great stuff from SANDBOX there overall, and that means our first who is on the shorter side. It does mean that when we get through this interview, there'll be a bit of a break.
Well, we are going to have this interview with the winner of the first match, SANDBOX Gaming, taking the 2-0.
자, LCK 승격이 결정된 후 공식전에서 첫 승리를 이렇게 깔끔하게 가져가셨습니다. 또 상대
Well, after you secured your place in the LCK,
작년에 복수를 했다는 의미로도 또 감회가 남다르실 것 같은데요.
아, 네.
Well, you're able to get revenge
인연이 좀 깊거든요. 저희가 작년 캐스파컵 때부터 해가지고 시즌
from last year over winners.
오늘 경기는 꼭 이겨야겠다는 마음가짐으로 준비해왔습니다.
아무래도 경험이 조커 선수가 가장 많기도 하고 팀 내에서
So we had the mindset of, you know, we wanted to get revenge. We really wanted to win against the winners, and we crushed them today.
잘 다독여야겠다는 부담감도 좀 있으셨을 것 같은데 탑라이너로 활약한 와이저 선수가 오늘 첫 데뷔전 괜찮았던 것 같아요. 주장으로서 보시기에 어떠셨나요?
저희 탑이
So you're
긴장을
a captain as well as rather from another team, and how does it feel to be the captain?
아칼리로.
네네.
그래도 초반에 그 어그로도 잘 끌어주고 득점하는 모습도
A lot of players were really nervous going into the second match, so definitely good to keep my team together as the captain of the team.
콜로스 다 알고 있었는데 이사이가 탑 친구가 얘기를 하는데도 그걸 당해가지고 좀 중간에 흔들렸던.
So we had, you know, a bunch of mistakes, and we were trying to really just keep it together. Obviously, we need to do a little bit better going into next year.
빨리 끝내고 모이는 운영을 했거든요. 그러면서 교전을 굉장히 전투적으로 하니까 약간 흔들리는 장면, 전투가 한 2번 정도.
You guys crushed your lane in the first match.
처음에 저희가 라인전을 너무 좋게 시작해가지고 많이 흔들릴 거라 생각했는데 그거에 개의치 않고 라인 싸움도 하고 이제 용싸움에서도 침착하게 시야도 잘 먹고.
In the early game, we expected to win our lanes, and we also had some really good fights around the dragon.
다시 저희가 타워 쪽에서 포킹을 해보자 했었는데 그것도 좀 막히고 하면서 많이 흔들렸던 것 같아요.
But our opponents actually played really well, especially that one fight around the mountain Drake. But eventually, we were relying on our Akali to do some great stuff in some of the team fights towards the end of the game.
샌드박스 게이밍 어떤 걸 조금 더 선호하는 편인가요?
저희 팀은 픽은 딱히 중요치 않은데 싸움을 잘하는 픽을 좋아하거든요.
네.
초반이든 중반이든 후반이든 교전 픽을 주로 뽑아가지고 싸움.
We're not really too concerned about picks and bans. Overall, we just want to have, you know, a very aggressive kind of squad from early, mid, and late game, and keeping that aggressive play style over the course of all the games we play. But of course, that's kind of an ideal situation. So you have made it to the round of 8. How do you guys feel?
자신감을 바탕으로 연습을 꼼꼼하게 해서 좋은 모습 보여주도록 노력하겠습니다.
네, 앞으로 캐스파컵에서 더 멋진 모습 기대하겠습니다.
So we feel really confident after our first win here in the round of 16. So we want to show that confidence and aggression going into the rest of the rounds, going into the rest of the KeSPA Cup.
I think pretty much encapsulated the thoughts there very, very well. When the Akali finally was no longer starved of gold, finally got some kill involvements, got good use out of the Shroud, things slid into place there. The VOD review for the second game will be a lot longer than the VOD review for the first game. So if you are, in fact, watching this at home as SANDBOX Gaming, you're not going to enjoy that VOD review very much. You might have done it already. You'll know already. But that was a bit sloppy from SANDBOX Gaming, but good enough to get to the next round, good enough to give them some time and to separate themselves and to actually have their first, you know, 5-man look be, honestly, overall pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, not too much to complain about, but definitely have some work to do, that's for sure, going into next year. There's a couple of quicker games here, although 37 minutes, you know, definitely can be quicker. You notice game 1 was 27. So expect the meta to just increase, especially as these LCK teams come in and draft very aggressive compositions. Can't wait to see what we have in store for the rest of the KeSPA Cup as we get going along these days.
Looking over the clock here, it's about 6:56 p.m. Korean Standard Time. That means about an hour break between series. I think we'll be starting on schedule. So Jin Air versus Reverse Gaming will be in an hour's time from now, whatever that turns out in your local time. I'm really excited to see the Jin Air roster. You saw Teddy gone, Umti gone. You're like, uh-oh, this could be really bottoming out. Is there the talent to fill out a team that doesn't fall into relegation? And we still don't know the answer to that. But I actually look at the Jin Air team and say, given the timing of everything, they have a pretty strong lineup. I think there's a lot to be excited about. I think we might even have a disagreement as to which players we're most excited about. So after that break, could be really fun.
Yeah, so guys, we will see you in about an hour for Jin Air Green Wings up against Reverse Gaming. We'll be back then.
Drawn to the flame, we are excited to the rain. Isn't it strange that love is in the way? It never goes away. Get ready.